Hello and welcome to North Bay in Scarborough, and today we're looking at the 5 cliff lift systems. Try saying that when you've got a mouthful of sweets. Now these 5 cliff lift systems, shall I just abbreviate it to lifts? These 5 lifts up the cliffs were dotted all the way down the coastline in Scarborough. There was 2 in the North Bay area and then 3 in the South Bay area. So we're starting today at the first one, which was located right here to my left on this hillside. Constructed in 1930 and at a length of 167 feet, the North Bay cliff lift used an electric drive system to power the motors. During September 1996, it was decided to close the lift permanently rather than undertake a series of repairs to correct mechanical issues and address corrosion. It had an estimated cost of over £75,000 to complete. Over the following 2 years, it was entirely dismantled. The second one we're going to look at is just along the headland down there, and it was the Queen's Parade cliff lift, which is just over there. So let's head on that way. In 1878, the Queen's Parade Funicular opened. The lift was 285 feet in length between Queen's Parade and the Promenade Pier. Its propulsion system involved a pair of counterbalanced water tanks. These were filled and emptied to move the cars via gravity alone, based on weight distribution. The opening day was marred by one of the carriages having broken free and crashed into the lower station, followed by a series of further accidents, landslips and equipment failures. It permanently closed in 1887, barely 9 years after opening. So we've reached where the Queen's Parade cliff lift would have been. I didn't know this, but there used to be a pier just down there, heading out. I never knew. I didn't know Scarborough had a pier at all. Now, as far as I'm aware, it was called the Promenade Pier, and it was just destroyed by a storm, basically. It got washed away and damaged so badly that they just never replaced it. Now when we get down there in a minute, I'll show you where the pier used to be, but I want to show you a picture now that's taken from here that shows an old bandstand down here, the old Victorian gardens, the pier in the background, and potentially the cliff lift station just over there. We're not exactly sure where the cliff lift was, but it was somewhere in this vicinity here. Now the pier was just behind them trees there, heading out that way. And I know that it went down towards where the pier was. So this is the site where the Promenade Pier used to be. Just here. So as you can see, nothing remains today. Now all this promenade has been remodelled many times since the Victorian period, so you're not going to see any of the remains of the pier itself or the building or anything like that. This is quite a recent affair, this, compared to the pier anyway. But it would have been right here, jetting out right in front of us. It's worth mentioning while we're here at North Bay as well, there used to be another attraction just up on the hill up there. Now I'll zoom in for you, but just up there on the headland used to be what was known as WARWICK'S Revolving Tower, and it had an observation deck on the outside that actually rotated up and back down, and it was right up there, so I hope you can see that roughly where it was. But around the same time we lost the cliff lifts here on the left, the pier and that tower, all within a short space of time. So even back then, that was the start of the North Bay's decline. It did have a revival up here back in the 80s and 90s, but it seems to have fizzled out again, and everyone seems to go to the bottom side of Scarborough. So we've reached the South Bay area of Scarborough, and we're going to take a look at the next 3 cliff lifts, which are all down here. But while we're here, just look at this splendid bridge behind me. I always love this when I come to Scarborough. What an amazing looking bridge. So we've reached the South cliff lift. If you just look up there, you can see the lifts are stopped halfway up between each other. And this is the station building here. The South Bay cliff lift opened in 1875 and was the first funicular railway to open in Britain. With a length of 284 feet and operated by filling tanks with seawater. During 1993, the Scarborough Borough Council purchased a funicular from its owners. And in 1997, the control infrastructure of the lift was extensively modified, enabling operations to be handled entirely by its automated systems. But if it's still running, then this is the oldest one in Scarborough. This was the first to open, which then triggered the second one to open at North Bay, the Queen's Parade one that we looked at. But this was the first. I'm going to try braving standing there, right next to where these waves are bashing over, just so I can get you guys a before and after picture over here. Now just take a look at this picture. It's a Victorian picture that shows a very busy beach, but as you can see today, the tide is in. You can see the cliff lift on the bottom left, and then you can see the spa further right, along to the Grand Hotel as well, further along the coast. So let's make our way over to the other 2 now, the last 2. One of them is definitely operational, the other one was taken out of service. So we've reached what is known as the St. Nicholas Cliff Lift. Like I said, this one is no longer operational today. There's a nice cafe in the station at the bottom and the same at the top. The St. Nicholas Cliff Lift opened in 1929. The track is 102 feet long and it is powered by electricity. During its early years of operation, there was no bottom station. Passengers simply stepped into the tramcars directly from the pavement. In 2007, the lift was closed as the council could not afford the estimated £500,000 of modifications needed to conform with modern health and safety standards. It had also been operating at a loss. Now, as you can see, both cars are docked at the top there. They now use that as part of the cafe, so you can enter the cafe from the station and go inside the old gondolas as part of the cafe now. We're now going to head down to the final cliff lift, which is just down here around the corner, which kind of renders this one a bit pointless. But apparently this next one was the busiest one for a long time, hence why they built the other one just around the corner to take some of the load off this one. So this one is known as the Central Tramway, and it's still operational today, for definite. The Central Tramway, still operating today, opened in 1881 with a total length of 233 feet. The funicular was operated by steam power. It was later converted to run on electricity. Passenger demand at the Central Tramway has always been particularly high, due to the location and the neighbouring Grand Hotel. The lift has been continuously operated by the same company throughout its entire life. As you can see, they've kept the original Victorian frontage, or they made it look Victorian anyway. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little visit to Scarborough. I've actually filmed about 4 or 5 videos here today, as you will see on the channel. But I hope you enjoyed our little look at the cliff lifts, the pier, and all the other things that we looked at today in this video. It's just started to rain, which is good timing. I'm just about to make my way back home. So anyway, thank you for joining me in this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like the video. Any comments you have, please put them down below, and please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye.